In-class activity 19B. 1. In-class activity 19A and preview assignment 19B, you worked with two functions and their compositions. Fill in the last two columns below with the answers you found in the assignments indicated above. For the remainder of this activity, we will be comparing our work to these results. So we'll do the G of F first here. That is going to be all reals except X can't be 0. So let's put the 0 there. Vertical asymptote we found to be at X equals 0, and horizontal asymptote when Y was 16, at Y is equal to 16. Now F of G, it's going to be all reals except -4. So we'll put all reals here except -4. A vertical asymptote is at X equals -4, and horizontal asymptote occurs at Y is equal to 0. Objectives for the activity. You will understand how change in input of a composite function is related to change in output, how the domain of the composite function g of f is related to the domains of the functions g and f, how asymptotes of the composite function g of f are related to asymptotes of the functions g and f. You will be able to compose two functions when one or both of the functions is a rational function. 2. Let e of x equal 1 over x plus 4, and let b of x equal x squared. Part A, how do these functions relate to the functions listed in the table above? Well, we could say something like they're the same types of equations, meaning one's quadratic, one is rational, and things like that. So why don't we just put one is quadratic, one is rational. There we go. Let's go to part B. Let me scroll up here. Part B, it says for each function, find the domain and identify any asymptotes. Write the information in the table. Okay, so if we do the E function first, we're going to be able to put in all reals except when x is -4. Vertical asymptote will be when x is -4 or at x equals -4. And a horizontal asymptote will be at y is equal to 0. B of x equals x squared. There's no restrictions on that. We can square any number we want. So we're just going to put all reals and leave it at that. Vertical asymptotes, there are none. So we'll put none. And same for horizontal asymptotes. Let's put none. Part C. Use the information from part B to determine the domain of B of E of x. Add a column to the table to display your answer. All right, so this is going to be our column here. I'll just write that in, B of E of x. So for the domain of B of E, that's going to be all real numbers except x can't be -4 again because x can't be put into the E function, so it's not going to go into B of E of x. So let's write all reals except, that's a P, except -4. For a vertical asymptote, there's going to be one at x equals -4. And horizontal asymptote, y equals 0. So for that was part C. Let's go to part D. Use the information from parts B and C to determine any vertical asymptotes. Oh, we already did that. Part E, determine any horizontal asymptotes. We did that above as well. Okay, so let's continue. That leads us to part F. Use composition to find an expression for B of E of x Using a graphing calculator or app, graph the function b of e of x and use the graph to verify your answers. Well, we're working with b of e of x. And this is going to be, let's see. All right, so let's see, we'll have b of, let's see, it's 1 over x plus 4, and then apply the b function, and we will square the input. There we go. So here we can see our expression for b of e of x is 1 over x plus 4, that entire quantity squared. And the graph shown here supports the answers we found in parts C, D, and E, meaning we have a vertical asymptote at x equals -4, a horizontal asymptote at y is equal to 0. So that looks good. Let's go to part G. How does the graph of b of e of x compare to the graph of g of f of x? How do the formulas compare? Okay, let's write these down and compare these. We have b of e of x, and this is the same thing that we have just written above there, but I'll copy it down here. We have 1 over x plus 4, that entire fraction squared, and then we have g of f of x, which we found to be 1 over x, then plus 4, and all of that being squared. How do they compare? Well, they have some similarities. The functions, they both have an x in the denominator. There's a fraction. They both have a plus 4. They're both being squared, but they're different. They're different functions. I mean, there's some similarities, but they're different functions. We can see that just by looking at them. And when we graph them, we can see that as well. So let's go back. I'm going to open the calculator, and I have these two functions listed here. Let's graph one of the functions. That's g of f of x, and that's what that looks like. If I go back and I turn that off and turn the other one on, this is the b of e of x graph, and that's what that looks like. So we can see there's some similarities. We can agree on that, but I suppose, but they are definitely different functions. Okay, just to list these out a little bit. B of E has a vertical asymptote when x is equal to, what is it, -4. G of F, vertical asymptote at x is equal to 0. Horizontal asymptote, y is equal to 0. We can see that in the picture above for b of e of x, and then horizontal asymptote was y is equal to 16 for the g of f function. All right, that's the end of this video. Thank you.